We back. Okay. Oops. Did I just lose you?
Nope. I'm in. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I got two things going on here. Wow. All right. All right. Okay, so we left off with you just kind of getting a little bit more idea. So she gave you the the forces. So yes, 50 soldiers, 3 major war forges, 4 medium war forges kind of make up the house. Besides the 3 obsidian ravens.
So 50 elves.
Yeah, those are drow. Yeah,
50 elves for medium warforge.
3 major, 4 medium.
What is a major warforge?
A bigger one, I guess, is what Rin will kind of tell you. I guess give me an Arcana roll. This is gonna be pretty difficult for you, Jero. Not kind of, so yeah. Uh, the best you remember is something that well, you did run into HK, didn't you? Yajiro?
Um,
But
it
he's still different though. So it's she tells you they're kind of mechanical and stuff, but it's sort of far fetched for Yajiro at this moment for him to kind of capture it. But it's definitely something I would probably make I would say Yajiro would probably make a mental note of to figure out down the road to find out what they really more.
got it.
Warforge is going to be a new term for you because they're not an Alana's common species.
Yeah, we don't have robots walking around,
No,
let alone sentient ones.
which is why what the Raven Queen is doing is giving you a pretty big leg up.
All right. can I can I meet these forces? Can I see them?
Yeah, you're the general, so absolutely. Is that pretty much you're all good with her, and you're gonna want to strike out and just start checking everything around?
Um. So I guess I have a couple other questions. um. So as the matron mother, will you be partaking in this fight if necessary?
If necessary, yes.
And you are a priestess.
Of the Raven Queen as my daughter, so we both would be clerics on a tactical battlefield.
Understood. Powerful. Okay. Yeah, I've met my fair share of clerics at this point, and they're all quite powerful and can't understate their use.
Disciples of gods and goddesses are game changers on a battlefield often.
And so in the room is her daughter, and there's a male figure, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
her son. So he's a war master. He would be a pure fighter.
And is he someone that would be a part of the 50 of the
No,
Legion, or he's his
he's
own?
yeah, he is. He's basically a champ. You're the Ravens Queen champion. Let's probably put this in terminology. He's sort of more like, I guess level wise let's call him a boss type of thing. He's good you could definitely wipe the floor of him. He's not that good, but he's competent enough. I mean, you would probably feel like assessing your forces here. Let's just kind of move into some of that right now. Uh,
From a melee tactical perspective, he should be close to on par with me. And if I were to compare myself to the other Elvish fighter troops, they should be way under me.
well, let's give you a pure investigation roll. I'll give it to you at advantage, so you can have a pretty good roll to this.
13.
13. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much where you'd be at. Um, so Matron Rin is a potent cleric from what you're kind of getting. Your aura, your sense. Maybe the Raven Queen is giving you an inkling like she's strong, but some of the people like you feel like you've summoned earlier, like the laces and the wind, and stuff like that are, and Diana coming around and stuff like that are a little bit more or very powerful individuals. So you don't get the feeling that Mother Rin is that. Her daughter Motilia is also pretty like you feel like she's not that far from her mother, so you're in that aspect. So you're probably looking at some pretty decent aspects for the Raven Queen there. Her son Ifentore is, you can see like he's a competent fighter. Like he you get the sense that from what like him sparring a little bit with you just to get an understanding of what's going on is like he wouldn't like die immediately in a first encounter warfare part. He would probably be one that would hold his ground until he ran into somebody stupid, something really good, something that had a lot of other abilities like that. And they're all pretty well protected. So mother and two children are in exquisite elven enchanted plate of the drow quality mix. They're possessing magical weapons, elixirs, potions, stuff like that. There's a number of other things that will make them, and that's the thing I'm going to say is what you're going to get pretty quick out of them. They're hyper intelligent, and they're hyper intelligent for guerrilla warfare. Not to mention a lot of the darker parts of warfare, sabotage, assassination, poison, those type of aspects seem to be what these guys are about. The 50 soldiers are very like similar. You saw a lot of expertise out of the elves that were led by my brother's character, but these guys aren't like terrible either for 50 soldiers. Like they're way better than anything the town has. So they're better than foxes. They're better than the town soldiers, the garrison there.
Okay.
You get a feeling that if they were against even some of the Knights of Greyheim, they would be even more, they're still a little bit more dangerous than them. They're all expert swordsmen. They've all had years of practice and discipline. Like that, the biggest thing is like they're so disciplined. Like there's not an essence of fear that you feel out of them. They can swarm very quickly. They know they're very trained in what the other has done next to them, type of thing. So there's definitely an advantage of their numbers with what they're used to. Plus, a lot of the things that you've been taught, they can do as well. The darkness globes, blind fighting, night fighting, things that the trickier, the dirty aspects of warfare, these guys are trained and honed to.
Okay.
The major war forges, they're called the Warbirds for House Jakar, are impressive things. They're about 12 to 14 feet tall. They are it's like looking at a full suit of metal. They're well encased, enchanted weaponry. and they're giving and like what areas like they're conscious enough to obey orders, but fluid enough, intelligent wise to be like know it's like your context of it in a more shorter direction. Like they don't need direct computer programming, so they're not fully like they're not full robot type of thing. They are the sentient beings that you're talking of. The Rapture, the four medium warforges, are sort of like a scouting like the House Jakar use them as reserves and scouting aspects because they're wheeled. So instead of legs, they have little wheels, one wheel that kind of helps them move about. Not as quiet as any of the soldiers that you'd basically be able to implore from House Jakar, but they're definitely quick. And they definitely make a pretty good for the four of them. They seem to like they can become a very good harassing unit if need be.
Okay. Huh.
And I will say, remember, the Raven Queen told you that there was still more coming. You don't think that these are going to be more of House Jakar like Dark Elves, but an outside force. Possibly humans that live on Alanis are coming under a banner under you somehow. Like there's a calling, a prophecy, a beacon of your arrival that is calling the Raven Queen's forces to you.
Okay. All right.
Which is why the matron mother is supporting that, because she's calling you a general, knowing that your army is about to grow, and why we were doing this session, because there's a good amount of possibility of the NPCs pushing power away from Carolyn.
Which she kind of brought about herself. Okay.
Correct. So all that extra time from before playing into it now.
Okay. Wonderful. So I know the elves are extremely skilled and tactical, as you stated, and they give off that type of behavior. So if they're also extremely well armed and armored, they must have skilled blacksmiths.
Yes. Like her compound is fully functional. So if there's something you're thinking of.
Yeah. So I think.
Is this shopping time again?
I think it's shopping time. So not for myself, because I don't really care that much about like what I have equipped typically, other than like something that's useful. And I think currently I'm equipped with useful things, so I'm okay with that. But I do think there's other people that I find important that I would want to try to get them something to raise their chance of surviving the continuing war, you know?
Okay.
So like Ian, mainly the main party. I would really want, if the elven blacksmiths are as skilled as I believe they are, I would ask the matron mother if she could make something for each of them to protect them with elven magic.
I would say she definitely say yes, because you're the general. It doesn't matter. But I'm gonna say, when you take a little moment to talk to the smiths, you would have to bring them down individually to get them outfitted. And he's gonna tell you the reason why is because he's never really made human human metal before, like a metal human armor before. That's what I want. He's never made that. He could do it if anyone were elves. So if you wanted to say, which is not going to happen because he's a druid, but if we were to do him, that would be one thing because he's an elf. Everyone else would be like he would probably make something that just wouldn't fit.
Right.
But yeah, but you can definitely do that. You can definitely arm them with most sword types, with enchanted weaponry as well.
Yeah, I think I would like, while I appreciate Matron Mother that you have clearly already outfitted this army with the best elven craft, I would appreciate if we could also outfit my human allies,
Mhm.
at least those close to myself, and especially those close to the Raven Queen.
Yes. Oh yeah. So as soon as they come down, well, again, she will say yes. So she doesn't know anything about the problems, but you will now know the problems. So as soon as you can deal with that, then that will be addressed at any point. So during the campaign, when we're playing, just say, "Hey, would you go down and do this?" If they agree, then we know that can be made in this time frame.
And I would also want it to be known to the blacksmith. Uh, does the blacksmith have a name? Since I'm likely to deal with him more than once.
Yeah, I guess you're right. We should get a name for this guy. Let's go to my fantasy name maker. Out of my easy stuff. All right. Fantasy. Do we have drow? Dark elves. Let's go male. Okay. Doo-ba-doo. Put it in your chat. Find you. So Isilgurth Sylvaid is your smith down here.
Picking names that you can't say.
Yeah, I just went through the list and picked like fourth one. I was like, all right, I think that's close enough. They're very similar to what I would end up doing anyways. Names. So just like, this is how you do Elven names. You put as many syllables, vowels, and then you can't pronounce them.
Yep, exactly that. All right. So while I'm speaking to Aselgarth, however we want to start the word. So Aselgarth, when I do bring down my human allies for equipment, I would appreciate it if you could inscribe a raven insignia somewhere amongst the armor for all of them. Just even the ones who are not devout Raven Queen believers. Just so I could know that the Raven Queen is still with them.
Yeah, he has an idea that he can do for that. Put some notes here. All right. All right, so we have him, and he will he'll basically start drawing. He'll get the materials ready for when they show up, so it won't take him as long to make that happen.
Perfect. Um, yeah, I think that'll be suitable.
As you've been walking around the compound, what is the feeling Yajiro is getting with more or less the gift of the transformation that the Raven Queen has given you and the resources that you're feeling?
So as he's getting to know more about the place and the people and the strength of their people, he's just becoming more and more of the belief that he already had that the Raven Queen chose to do this for the purpose of continuing protection of his people and continuing to aid him.
Mm-hmm.
He had no, he already didn't think that she did it for any ill will or personal gain, whether she did or didn't. He fully believed that she had done it with the best intents, and now he's just kind of hammering that in by talking with the matron mother, by seeing the forces that they have, by speaking with, you know, Shadow Smite about their plights and what they've come through and the strength of their people. Yeah, he has no reservations against the Raven Queen.
So he's feeling like everything is going to where prophecy, more or less, for his role is going.
Yeah, everything is as it should be.
Okay. One other thing we want to do, you can put on your character sheet. Speaking of Shadow Smite, with the help of the Raven Queen, what she's going to do to make sure that you can communicate the way you want to communicate with the people of House Jakar is you're going to know the drow hand language or hand sign language, whatever you want to say, the drow sign language. This is not similar to the Thieves' Cant thing. This is very specific sign language by the drow.
Drow hand language.
Yes.
Nice. All right. I'll have to remember that. But I did add it to my languages so I can read it with my other languages.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So just to mess around as I'm walking throughout, if I see like a guard at his post or I come across Narella or Sino, I'll just kind of like try to use the hand language as instructed by her to have like just brief conversation like, hey, and you know, how's it going? And then like just bye.
Okay. By testing that in the part of it, what you're really understanding is the hand language is way better in the Underdark, where you can use the body heat when you're looking through your spectrum of your information, is where the hand language is more amplified. If you try to do it in modern light with regular eyesight, it's kind of like sort of can be considered like fast talk or slang, where some of the wording can get a little messed up. Okay.
Got it. Okay. So it works better in the dark.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you do work well with that, understanding it. Again, everyone seems on board. You are definitely getting an overwhelming sense of, which is very odd for you, is a hero worship. Everyone is like paying you homage, respect. You're the whole talk of the whole compound. There are a number of the citizens down here. I'm going to say you probably can figure that there is probably, there's probably like another 120 drow that are down here, that are just citizens.
Yeah, and it still confounds me why they have given me this. They've put me on this like pedestal because I know that I'm not the most powerful person. I I fought a minotaur. I almost died. Like if I was the most powerful person, that wouldn't have almost killed me. So I know like where I stand, and so it still confounds Yajiro that they're putting him on this pedestal. He
Yeah,
understands what it means to be the champion, but he's just like, you know, it's a humbling experience because he doesn't believe it, you know?
yeah. Because again, on the surface, you're the tailor. Down here, you're the general. I want to add something that you basically, because you've taken some time down here. There's 120 drow citizens going around. That doesn't do like a lot of the commonary household stuff. So shoeing, leatherworking, all that stuff in a self-contained compound. You will discover that there's about 60 slaves amongst the House of Jakar. Those are primarily orcs and goblins, but there are some snifferleblin and bugbears amongst the group as well.
Interesting. So I don't think Yajiro knows much about Svervniblin.
Nope.
As they're another Underdark species. I know about goblins.
Mm-hmm.
I know. So what'd you say? But you said goblins, bugbears, Svervniblin, and
Orcs
what?
and goblins make up the majority.
And orcs.
There are some snifferleblin and bugbears amongst the group.
So I've encountered orcs and goblins.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I encountered bugbears.
Probably not. Oh, you might have as enemies because they're usually with the goblins who probably have taken Welshire, so they're not probably that unknown to you. And I will say, remember, there's an orcs unit that was part of the Khazgoroth group that joined you. So these are all considered. Well, you don't know about the Snarfleven that much, but the other three are definitely considered goblinoids, which are considered the warlike people that are usually problematic to civilization. So, but that's again, it's just something to know that they are sort of using slavery. They are using slavery to still bolster some things that need to be done at the compound.
Okay. So when I see the citizens, they're dressed. How are citizens dressed?
In a dark elf drow society, for sure, they are dressed pretty fine, but they're not as extravagant as the Misa people. Like the Misa elves are which showcase exotic riches. House Jakar does not. The only one that will say that is so elaborate, like when you now think about it, is Shadow Smite. Her leather outfit is made of definitely material that is rare. You can also tell it is enchanted. The workmanship on it is unique because again, she likes to be seductive, so it's alluring. And like with that, and of course with like armament that she basically has, which is a little bit more to say because the other two, Asino and them, the other two Obsidian Ravens look pretty good, but they almost are like near Ifindor's attire set. So House Jakar, they told you, was a low house, so that's where you're starting to see now, like, oh shit, well, yeah, they are wealthy enough that so they're the elves. They don't look poor, like they wouldn't look like people of Welshire. They look better than them, but they don't look like a lot of other adornment of jewelry or anything like that you would be like, oh, you guys are fancy rich people.
Okay. And then the
slaves don't look great. They're definitely in war clothing. Many of them probably shoeless. They are in chains, so they don't go anywhere, type of thing.
Okay. So seeing the citizens, I guess I would probably not interact with them too much since I don't really want to bring attention to myself. Um, I might interact with the tailor for this compound because I still want to learn how to make more elven stuff for tailoring.
Okay.
So I would acquaint myself with them so that after this is all over, or if I have any downtime, I could continue to hone that skill of elven weaving. Um, but I would probably see if Shadow Smite is around, just kind of peeking around. Laura?
Yeah, she'll always be near you. She is dedicated to you, so wherever you want her. And at this moment, she's always close by because she doesn't need to hide to protect you. She is going to protect you right off.
Yep, I figured. So I would just kind of call for her because she probably wouldn't, even if she's not hiding her, she
Yeah.
probably just naturally stealthy. Um, so yeah, just be like, Laura, you around?
Yes, my lord.
Um, so the surface people, the humans above, we don't typically condone slavery. It's a normal thing for your people.
Oh, yes. Um, it is sort of transitioning out. I think I know the first house is they're working some aspects, but there's been a lot of issues with either some pushback, but mostly um, embarrassing enough to say there's a dependency need for them. Many of the species that are in the slavery, as you can see, like those orcs, are larger beings, species, so they can help provide a lot of help in the mines and things.
I see. Yeah, laborers is typically how we refer to them as well. But um, we have a saying up above. Sometimes you can attract more with honey than vinegar. But
Yes.
I think you did just say that besides the necessity at the moment for your very recent regime change, your people are trying to phase it out.
Yes, it's just difficult, my lord. Again, um, many of these people have like their tribes and clans are destroyed. So to open this thing back up, there's not a whole lot they would be able to go. It would like be putting a pet that you've had for a while into the wild and ask it to survive. But
Could they not be just in the future? Forgive me because I don't know enough about your people yet. Could they not be inducted into the house as arts or?
some are working, but again, they haven't been provided the greatest living of conditions, and to give them equal, at least into some lower base and citizenship, there's going to be needing to do some renovations. If that is something that is important to you, and the power that the Raven Queen has given you by generating the House of Jakar here, she might make housing for you for those slaves, and that would give us the ability to fulfill your wishes to remove the slavery on those here.
Yes, I think that would be preferred, and I would like to meet these slaves once we can acquire that housing and assistance. Because I don't know if you noticed when you're on the surface, you probably didn't, because you didn't really get a chance to go into our town. But we actively work alongside orcs and other intelligent beings, despite their differences. But I also understand your people were likely at war with these species at some point, and I
Yeah.
understand how war works.
Yeah, we are often be known as the boogeyman that goes in the night. So relations have been hard pressed to change against that old mantra. But with someone like you, we believe we can make that happen. The champion in Spero has made that happen. Um, so again, these are things that we
I would,
can work at.
yes, I wouldn't want to fall behind another champion of the Raven Queen if I could stand beside them instead.
Of course. Um, yeah, we will. We can move some of the slaves into basically digging and let them know that they're actually building a quarter of their own, a quarter in the compound that will become their own individual homes.
Great. And as I said, I think I would like to at some point meet them, um, because I do understand sometimes an enemy stays an enemy for life, and some of them may potentially not be safe to have around the citizens due to where they are mentally, where they're at, and how they feel about drow. But I would love to have as many as possible become unshackled and more than slaves.
Of course. Do you wish to unshackle them now, or do you wish to them to fulfill their roles until a set time that is more convenient?
If hmm, if we can talk to them now, perhaps we can reach an agreement.
Okay. She'll get some of the soldiers. They understanding what's going on. They will rally up the 60 slaves. So they're kind of like in the center of town, of the compound, and you're sort of up on a platform, and you're able to speak to them.
Okay, great. Greetings, all of you. Um, I am, I guess, Lord Arinki. I'm not really sure what my name would be here or my title, but as you can see, I'm new in town, and where I come from, whether we were allies or enemies at some point, it does not mean that we have to stay that way. And you all deserve your fair chance at being allies instead of being enemies, because that war has passed. I'm not sure how the rest of you feel about this, and obviously, if for whatever reason your people prefer to continue to work hard and do as you're doing, feel free to continue to do as you do. But I feel that in order for us to be a stronger compound and a stronger people for what's to come in the future, it would be better if we were all on more of an equal playing field and more ally like. So if it's all right with you, I'd prefer to have you all unshackled and living as workers as you do. For those of you who feel that you would rather take your chance above ground, I won't stop you. I can't say that they won't stop you, as I point to the other drow. But again, I would appreciate your continued assistance and aid as more of an equal than someone beneath me.
Give me a persuasion roll. This is going to be a super high difficulty, though. Wow. Okay. Wow, wow. I'm going to say I'm going to break this down now. The orcs and Snurf 11 definitely feel like, I don't know what we're going to be able to do anyways. And for whatever reason, they might, again, what Shadows might have said, they have no other place to really kind of go. They sort of kind of know they're out of their element. But a lot of the goblins and two of the bugbears look at this as freedom. And when that chains are removed, a couple of them start to move away. The drow look like they're ready to, they would prefer to slaughter them. They look like they're going to punish them. But they sort of look to you. Do you look like let them go? Or you're like, do is your nature?
I look like I do not mean them any harm, and
Like,
I would not condone harm on them.
you would rather let them go. Okay. Because you rolled so high, the drow also are like, wow, okay. So 25 goblins and 2 bugbears leave, but the rest remain. So that's going to leave, I think we got here 33 slaves will remain. I'll call them free slaves.
Before the others leave, I will give them a word of warning, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you leaving, while I respect your wishes and wish you the best on the surface, if I see you on the wrong side of the battlefield, there will be no mercy. There will be no second guessing, and I will slaughter you.
Okay, they seem to take, but they look like we're going to take our chances, and they go.
Yeah, I just want to make them aware that if they become my enemy, that is what they chose to become when I gave them freedom.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You said you want to know about the have contact with the tailor. So
Yeah.
we have this guy. And again, I didn't make this up, so just pulling names out. So Salfatin Irizade, he is a male drow, as the women are not into the normal aspects of the job.
All right. Yes. So I will get to know him as well. I'm not sure if he's surprised to see me stroll in, curious about learning more of his weaving techniques, or if he's just like, oh, hey, it's another male drow come to be a tailor.
No, he's it's complex, I guess, would be because yeah, you get part of it. Like he knows who you are though, so it's like no one and everyone in the compound knows who you are. So you to be kind of like, okay, I kind of want to go back to this. He's kind of like going, you don't have to do this, but um, but you get along because a you have a background. He starts to see that you're not like oh you are like me, I guess, or you're coming, your roots are like mine. So he's kind of like, he kind of relaxes a lot more. Um, yeah. I think he will let you know that House Jakar is really a malleable house, that it wants to improve. Um, and it's not really fake. They are definitely seeking where they fit in. Um, that's what he feels about Mother Rin. Um, and they haven't really been like an asshole house. Again, they're really trying to be a part of what is important and great. And they feel like when they went to the Raven Queen, that was one of the big aspects about choosing her, was that. Um, and they all seem to like kind of work together and be in full in. You will find out that some houses who had other children had their daughters turn to many different goddesses. So like Tiamat, like it was better for some houses to go Silk and Raven Queen than just Raven Queen. So the fact that Motilia kind of went Raven Queen instead of Silk kind of shows you that that this is why probably House Jakar is more favored by the Raven Queen, is because they all kind of went heavy in to support her with that.
So then, do the House Drakkar nobles, like, did they all wear tapestry or tabards or notable things with insignias of the Raven Queen?
Mother Rin and Motilia definitely do. Like now, much like things that were used to be embellished by the spider of Loth, the Raven is the embellishment of any high priestess. That is a fashion that Seventeen will tell you that now, for most of the women, especially any priestesses, the more iconically to the Raven Queen of jewelry, fabric weaving, so feathers and stuff like that into the look is very is cool. I mean, that's a mark of their station. If in Duntori doesn't like, he has more of the house name on it with the ruins, like he doesn't actually have anything, because he'll tell you that males don't typically like to worship the gods, because it was never worth their while. They tend to be in like magic and sorcery, like they were wizards and stuff of that sort. And House Jakar didn't have another son to be able to fulfill that role. So most sons will immediately go to War Master first. If there's a second son, there's a chance that they'll go to sorcery and fulfill that role. But Rin didn't have that. So that's kind of where the limitations of that. So the fact that she only has 2 children. And he'll kind of let you know that there isn't a hierarchy of like, for you to think about, I guess. Maybe suggesting part is like, you don't have to marry Rin. You can just have a fling, whatever, because if it produces a child, that is part of where the house gets its rulership. So it's an interesting concept to you to be like, I think there's actually something fascinating to think about. The bastard children, as long as they're from the mother, have a station of equal if two nobles, so to speak, married, were to fulfill the noble lineage in the tree. So, and very much you'll fact that Motilia and Infantore don't have the same father.
Got it. Okay. Here's an odd question, which I don't know. I guess I could look at another drow elf and just ask them, kind of like you ask another person. So, speaking with um, the tailor, 'cause that's where I am.
Mm-hmm.
How old do I look?
Oh, he says you look like a young adult, so he's assuming 90 years old.
90. Wow. With my species, I'd practically be decrepit. That's amazing.
Yes, well, in arrogance, and like, that is why the dark elves or the drow are a superior a species, and they have a hard time associating with others because that level of length is one of the reasons why they're a dangerous people. Imagine all those soldiers have been training in the time frame that you would say that you've been born. Like you have lived 90 years. Like most of those soldiers have put in about 100 years of just training and combat experience to be a part of the force.
That makes much more sense now. So you might know this. How old is Matron Mother Rin?
Matron Rin would be about she's about 270.
That'd be quite the cougar. And how old is her son, Iftantor?
He is 91.
He's older than me, and then I marry his mom. That's funny.
Well, again, there isn't a real marriage. Like there is a matron, but there's never a
There's no ceremony.
there's no king, there's no lord really. So that there's not a male position, and this is why this is something you can change. There's no male position in the drow society. You know, with self-Indian kind of tells you that, and Shadows Line will go with that. Like they help produce the line. Males are used often. War masters are the favored to mate with, and then those that happen end up making the children to the group. And if there's a really very strong war master, then there's a chance that several of the children will be with the same mother, with the same matron. So she will try to make several offsprings off the same male. Other times it could be something else going on. So you could, like I said, I mean, Matron Rin, she showed you a little bit of sexuality when you first met. Remember, that would be something for them. It's like more of a fling. There's not really a commitment to you guys being together as a couple. It is just for the sake of, I think during the time frame, like a season of, it's time to make children, so to speak, like the bird, like the springtime. There might be a part with that, and then after that, it's business. And again, this is now where you're starting to be like, this is where the warlike, conquering, chaotic politics of the society is more of. It doesn't nurture and push its culture to be like to protect its inner part. Like you're really bringing foreign concepts that again was brought in earlier, so they're all learning it, but to most of them naturally it's very foreign for them to understand that. So if you were to be like, okay, me and you are going to be like that, you can. For you, naturally, actually would be like for you and Motilia to form the relationship, to start courting, because your ages are similar, and kind of set the groundwork that way. But that would again be your wishes, the upper surface civilization's way of making that happen, which Carolyn would probably understand better. But if you were going to be like, I'm just going to have a fling with Bryn, if it's a child, it's a child, whatever, but you can go do whatever the hell you want. You'll have nothing to do with the child after that. That's where things are with the males, so that's why it's a little different. So it's however you want to. However you want to change things. House Jakar has been given to you. They're all willing to play ball by you. The Raven Queen isn't stopping changing that. She obviously just wants them to protect you. So they're fanatically loyal to that. It's however you want to play. However you want to create the drow society on the good side of Alanis is where you get to play a little bit, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's very interesting. The way society works over here.
I'll give you another thought that probably with conversation going in, but you're thinking the multiverse. If the fact that the Raven Queen brought House Jakar to you, you know that the first house is of her. Well, no, I take that back. The first house is not. First house is with Silk. She does have some powerful Raven Queen children there. So it's a mix of individuals out of that.
Yeah, I thought the first house was the Raven Queens.
No, it isn't. It's Silk. I forgot. Oh God, so it's interesting here. I'm gonna have to go back. I gotta go back to our old chapter. See what things were at. Okay. All right, you will know that the fifth house in that other place was a good amount of Raven Queen. Some of the lesser daughters are priestesses of something else, but the fifth house over there is a lot of Raven Queen strains.
So the first house is Silk's.
Yes.
The fifth house is Raven Queen.
The fifth house, a matron mother there is also is Raven Queen. There are other Raven Queen priestesses amongst houses, but those are the two that would probably pop up in slight conversation now going from there. I will let you know the third, fourth, and eighth house were the ones that were all Loth that attacked the first house, so that you will get that history as well. Strangely, the third house of Loth was allowed to remain the 4th and 8th houses were dissolved amongst other houses.
Interesting. And these are things that
I'm sorry.
Taylor-
It's not the second. It should be that's third. It should be the second and 4th house. Reading my notes correctly as I put them. The 2nd and the 4th. The 2nd house is still the 2nd house. I'm sorry. The 2nd house is destroyed. The 4th house is destroyed.
second, fourth, and eighth.
2nd and 4th and 8th were the 3 houses that attacked. The 2nd and 4th were destroyed. The 8th was I'm gonna it looks like let's say it was banished or fled. Yeah, because I have what was destroyed. But there is some of that that's interesting. Yeah. I think what you'll know is the 3rd house is the one it still has some low power. So not everyone. That is why there's still problems in the old city, because there's still Loth has some houses, not all of them. Obviously lost a majority of the houses as they've taken sides, but there's a few that have kind of stuck to the old ways and been able to maintain that. But again, depending on how you feel with the Raven Queen, these are allies that you would be aware of. Give me this might be something huge. Give me an Arcana check. Okay. So now give me a persuasion check at disadvantage.
11.
11. Okay. Let's see how this will tie in. So you're talking a lot about what's going on in the city of Eternal Night. So you'd mentioned earlier about what were some of the changes, what were some of the things that kind of would happen. So you do end up realizing about a lot of it had to do with the goddess Silk being enchained by the old god Hades, and the Raven Queen being an ally to try to help break that aspect there. There were a quest to help do that, which was set up by the 1st house, and that were seeking of 7 stones, or they were called soul stones of silk, which were championed in bodies. Now give me another Arcana check.
12.
12. Some of the names that definitely come out to you that you realize that one of those names is also King Azarian. A lot of it just seemed to be like mumbo jumbo lore. Give me a history check. I'll give you that at advantage.
14.
Remember, you start to kind of remember as we'll say you're talking to um, her daughter. So you're talking with Montilia, and she says she's kind of like talking about the story of things kind of going on. Then when she mentions that of the stones that were gonna, and King Azarian was a champion, that he was. A lot of the times they were able to. The champions told them that they were able to talk their way out of most of the getting the soul stones. Like people, they just had to kind of explain Silk's captivity, and they were awarded the stones. It altered them, but they didn't often have to fight a lot of them. And it is sort of where King Azarian was able to leave the champions. After doing so, he was able to kind of like continue to do the war in Gaia of that aspect. And you kind of now remember that that was one of the things that was told to you by that cascade, taking him back. So he was remade, and you're kind of finding out that a lot of them were sort of made by Hades to champion the stones, and the Raven Queen made the counters to this. But there are a lot of beings that were brought back from history that kind of helped deal with this great war of gods. Give me a religion check.
$21.
So you remember now talking about a lot of the war of the gods. So there was definitely, you've been talking about the old gods and the new gods. And you're starting to realize that these champions that you remember, Cinder and stuff like that, must have been sort of like the Titans in Spero. But they were also like soul Titans that were brought back, which you now start to understand that Wind and Lace were two of those individuals. But your story is starting to realize that there are probably others. Give me another history check because you rolled over 20. You do it at advantage.
$9.
I think you had an inspiration. I'll give you a chance to re-roll that. It's a third roll off of this one.
Woo. 13.
13.
The other die was a 1.
Oof. Yeah, that's not. Okay, I'm gonna say I'm gonna give it to you, and you can, if you can play off of. So Yajiro's kind of understanding that there were a lot of beings in this great war. But there's definitely a lot to the story. This makes what Ian ever saying to you like a nursery rhyme in length. The story that you're just getting told by this priestess is like fantastically big and long. But something in you is kind of realizing that some of the things you may need may be still lying within that story.
Okay.
Now, if you can ask the right questions on certain parts of what I've told you, I'll allow you to have certain roles that may generate some of that answers that I'll be privy to give you.
So, if the Raven Queen helped bring back these ancient past warriors, how did they aid in the final outcome of the war? Why was it so important to bring them back?
Great question. Now I'll give you a choice. You can choose either Arcana or History or Religion. I'll give you any three of those you can choose. Tell me which one you chose, and I'll give you the interpretation from the skill and then the roll at advantage.
Religion. $22.
Amazing. All right. You start to talk with her, Motilia, and she goes,
I'm listening, even though you're gonna see me step up. I'm listening.
okay. she goes, to control the Dark Lady, the Silk at the time, he had to trap her power, and the sacred number of those were 7, for the 7 sins of her essence. What he did, though, was to make that happen, was to go into her history and find beings that had history and relevance to her, that fulfilled those type of sins, to bind her to Spero that he may use. The Raven Queen was not as powerful at that time, so she gave to the heroes and her champion a few beings by their choice. She bombarded their mind with the timeline of Alanis, and from there they chose people that they felt would do the most encountering his champions. But again, it wasn't so much about combat. Sometimes having those beings there help awaken them enough to want to help Silk, and they gave up their stones, because some of those stones were held by her children, Silk.
Hmm.
Give
Okay.
me now a history lesson at advantage. So
Nat 20, 21.
at 20. All right. So knowing this part of it, as you think about that, you remember a little passage in the old religious text back when you were in Morhai. The Dark Lady at one point spawned, when she was sort of still the Dreadlord, produced 2 daughters of her own, Mystic and Kiziata, powerful magisters in their light. In history, though, Kiziata was a fire mage, and she was killed as she tried to harass and destroy the heroes. But Mystic was one that turned when her mother sort of started to turn, and she became the like an outer difference. So it was a sort of yin and yang between Kiziata and Mystic, even though Kiziata had passed. But with magic, there are ways to get about it, and it was said that Kiziata's power, there were just different like cloning aspects. So there's a mortality to the Silk lineage, as well as Silk herself. So the mother and the 2 children always had a connection, and the daughters definitely favored doing more. They were part of the people that were linked to the Sin Stones, and they weren't destroyed in the story. They gave up their stones because it was for their mother. And they sort of kind of left. Never really found in Spero. Well, Tatilia will tell you that she thinks, because a lot of them were looking for Mystic, that the 2 found a way back to Alanis when on their own, compared to Azarian being sort of banished back to his home.
Okay.
But the 2 of them, to you, are Titan level mages. Out of metagame, they're level 20 mages. And of course, their daughter to Silk, so there's Silk loyalty to a lot of where that goes. So if you were to think of where the now Elven Pantheon goes, this is where it gets kind of wonky. This is before pre-Elf Pantheon. Well, Silk isn't part of that, but this is where some of what the elves are doing and where Silk wants to be. this could be a look where your pendulum and stuff is going on in the religious part of Alanis, the changes. Silk, remember, if you remember Ash, it's never talked highly, always kind of put down, but you're getting some more of this talk now, how everyone's trying to, the ones of the Raven Queen are trying to back her because they understand she's more neutral now than she was even. And the two daughters seem to have represented a portion of that in the old story to Spero because they gave up the stones and didn't try to cause harm to the heroes.
Okay. And then you said they disappeared.
Because the heroes didn't look for them or ask for them or have any need. But there were, she says there are others that were left in Spero that she knows that are still alive. Like there's a beholder there that he didn't leave, but he's still hiding in Spero. There is a dark elf champion in the dark elf city that is a war master that serves the first house. He also is alive. He will tell you who that one is.
I assume he's going to say that's Vaymont.
No.
Okay.
Might not put him in there. Just want to make sure I'm getting some of the other part right. Let me look it up a little bit more.
They haven't spoken of Vaymont yet, but Vaymont did take a stone for a short period of time. And he did also help the first house in their raid. So I imagine he still exists somewhere there.
He does, but what she's talking about are the people who are created because of basically her 7 sins. So she hasn't really talked about the people who took the stones and what they did unless you start to push that that thought process more, I should say. Because trying to get all the way. Because this is more or less about why they were created, what's going on. So you're getting a lot of the people like, oh, I get it. This is this person and that person doing things. Where did I put that information? And that's where she's kind of like pushing some of the stuff on. It's part of it. Not what I want. Well, do you have any other questions while I'm kind of like this is where we can, like, we're leading into other things now for you to know of.
Yeah, I mean, basically, he's been trying to push basically this whole time that he came back to gather as much intel as he can, both about the species, about this place, about what's been done before him, about what's been done because of him. So just kind of continuing to connect those dots and build that weave of intel.
Okay.
So, and then learning about the houses that still exist versus the houses that fell due to the last champion coming back to the Dark Elves. He would, I think, we're starting to lean toward that line of questioning where he can start asking more about why they came back and who they came back with, because we're just talking about the seven sins
Mm-hmm.
and the seven sin stones being gathered. And well, Yajiro thinks the previous champion must have been one of the people who gathered one of those stones, which she's going to tell me, no, she didn't take one of those stones, but her traveling companions did. So I
Right.
think we're starting to lean toward where I can gather more intel about the last band of champions from Spero
Okay.
that I know nothing about in this world.
Right. Yeah, if you do that, then definitely, I think a lot of the information that you would basically know as Jeremy would go into that route, because that's pretty much the knowledge that she would be similar to knowing. Um, yeah, you wouldn't know much else from. Yeah, I mean, she wouldn't tell you that was a lot was enticing them. The Raven Queen and Silk revealed that they were revealed what Hades was trying to do, and then that was where everything changed. And Sindrid worked her way into helping Silk, and basically because that was basically her great grandmother's wish, and that is how. So it's protecting the family, making sure that that was going to happen, because they understood that Loth would end up killing to get what she wanted, and they were trying to break the cycle of that for sure. And then a lot of the names that you basically want, you get. I mean, they'll all more or less be thrown in there.
Which there's a key name that would basically pop out there, which would be HK and his last name,
Yes.
because then I can tie that to now the two characters that I know from this world that I've met.
Yes. So yeah, actually, this will be interesting. That's another good point to go into that point. So you realize that Silk seems to now be tied. Well, actually, give me one. Let's throw something that would be deep. Give me another religion check to see if you can kind of pull where things kind of went a little wonky. Oh God, yeah, you nailed it. Okay. So I kind of told you way before that when Silk was the Dreadlord, she had someone she fell in love with. That was Earthheart. But when she's left, but the Earthhearts were around early, but they seem to have like almost faded out of history. As you kind of really think about it, you're like, man, that's something a lot early with that. The Greystokes ended up like being a family that pushed or suppressed the Earthheart fulfilling the curse. Like all of a sudden, it was this Greystoke line that became more of the obsession to the Dreadlords. So it was sort of like as soon as like the Dark Lady kind of moved one more stage up to Goddess, and the Zarian took over, the Greystokes became that name that was to the Dread Realm's curse. Like it used their family to punish Azarian, especially when he became the Dreadlord. So the fact that Silk didn't forget that and made HK take the name. And I will also say, because of the way you rolled, that she also gave HK two of the most ancient, fundamentally iconic opposing weapons. There are two of three, but these two are the set. The Swords of Tyr are pretty much the OG blades of resisting the Dreadlord. I will say that you can, because of the high roll that you made, if HK were to give up the blades to somebody, you wouldn't take it because you're a Raven Queen thing. But if you were to figure a devotee of Tyr, or if Ashton was carrying them, that you could lure most likely Azarian to pretty much anywhere you wanted him to go. Like he knows those blades are his sort of bane.
Interesting.
Like these are so, and because of and this one now with fascination. I guess you'll understand the story is, and because you've asked about the Fae, so there will be one part of the Fae story that comes out. Auron, Firebrand, was a knight of the Summer Court. When he took the stone, it is said that he betrayed the Summer Queen. And when they sort of started to settle a bit, the Summer Queen was mad because he had taken that mantle. And HK went to the Summer Queen to plead forgiveness. And when he did that, that is where Diana's birth is the peace treaty of men and Fae. It is said to quell the Summer Queen, the next born child had to be given to the Summer Queen to replace to be the Summer Knight because of Firebrand's lack of commitment.
I see. And that's how we get Diana to where she is and why she is the way she is.
Yes. So now you understand where she kind of, and probably maybe I think you also get where Alric is, knowing that she didn't have the childhood, she didn't have the choices, she didn't have any she's paying a price for somebody else. And HK was more or less willing to give that up as well. But I guess would be an interesting an interesting aspect to it as well.
Yeah,
Is
that
it a little different?
that creates more of a dislike from Yajiro to HK again because of the Greystoke line, and also his willingness to give up his child. Like Yajiro thinks, how could you possibly ever willingly give up your child? There's no price that would be great enough for Yajiro to do that. And Yajiro lost his parents, right? So he doesn't see that as anything feasible to do. So that doesn't make sense to him. He knows that HK was not some robot when he did it. He was given humanity by Silk.
Yeah, remember, Alric was already born, so he couldn't give Alric. It was the next, and that was who was given. Some important. Since you're doing a lot of studying while you're down here, so these are the original ones that started the first with Silk.
What do you mean by they started first with Silk?
So, she was in love with Theldar. Doran is Teldar's brother.
Okay, got it.
They're the family. The Earthhearts is the first family that was like Earthhearts were born, and they were immediately linked to having to deal with Silk until the goddess change. That's when the Greystoke line became that next cursed thing that the land uses. This individual, Garnak Blackmoon, was Silk's mentor. She killed him to earn the mantle of the Dreadlord. It was sort of that deed. The realm of Dread decided that she was evil enough to punish her or champion her to become part of what now makes Alanis Alanis.
She killed Theldar?
No, she killed Garnak Blackmoon. He is her mentor, and because she killed her teacher for
Silk
power, for power, the land decided that, you know what? Guess what? You're evil enough to become a Dreadlord because of this.
So, yep, Yajiro's getting all the history dump. The download.
This is an important event. I'm going to put it in you, so you need to know. Oops. Because your people are dealing with it. So it says Fangskeep is besieged by the Dark Elves of Leviathan's tier. This is when your people were definitely the enemy. They killed this guy here is one of the one of the more originally known kings. So the Steel Fang name is the original line to Fangskeep's royalty. And Bade Goldhammer is the first Goldhammer to now become king of Fangskeep. That's important for it's important for where your friends are trying to help deal with things now, going forward. So you may not be able to know right off the bat, but it is from there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Just trying to find that one other thing that I think is definitely important to you. So you did get the other two names down about her daughters, right?
Where did I write it? I don't think I put the names. I put that there are two. Where did I put it? I do not know where I put it. I did put that there's two level 20 mages
Yeah, that's them.
that are her children that gave up their sins and then disappeared. So we don't know what happened to them. But the strange part is I know that I typed that and I don't see it in my notes. Hmm.
Guys,
Well, I have it somewhere.
you know, as I'm reading a lot of this, it's just funny how much time things have kind of gone when you sit there and go, "Oh shit, yeah, this is crazy." All right, I'm gonna give you this. So now that you're learning some lore from them, keep doing things. I'm gonna paste you this as well.
So strange. What's this?
Did you get that note?
I got the actual history of Azarian.
Yes.
I'm gonna put that in the enemies section.
Um. Wow, he did a little bit, but I guess he was never. I didn't know about him story wise. All the other names.
So why did Renaissance take Azarian?
Well, for that regard, you don't know because he wasn't of this realm fully. So that's definitely something that the land did to make the punishment happened when it needed to happen. Again, these are things like you got to kind of, these are ancient history, things of like stuff that kind of like you go, oh shit, part. But again, some people took the time to learn what that was about, others did not. So these are things that kind of like now they're there, but it would take miracles to kind of find out exactly what and why those things were basically happening. How much? Obviously, a lot of this stuff here. There's not a whole lot about the Raven Queen, but you've been talking a little bit about silk. So I gave you a few things that were important.
Yep.
Ooh, this is something as well. How much do you dive into that aspect of it?
I mean, so hearing lots and lots about Stoke and not so much the Raven Queen, but when I did hear about the Raven Queen, it was because the Raven Queen was trying to assist Soak.
Yes.
And the Raven Queen's champion also chose to assist in this quest for Soak. I am curious as to why there was this drive to aid Soak. When initially, based on history, it seems like Soak was a villain to begin with.
Yes. I will go back in history at one point, I think, for that. I just want to go through some things a little bit more before I go too far back for that. Okay. One thing you know is the Raven Queen, though, came to a lot of earlier stuff is the Raven Queen. She is doing a lot to. It was a chance for her to grow. There's definitely a lot about her to try to be powerful.
Similar to Soak.
Similar to Silk early. Like Silk,
Right.
Silk was all about the power early, and then she basically got chosen. And then from there, it was a manifestation of everything that she's had to be punished for until there is an event, which you do know is basically when she became worship. The worshiping changed her position in the realm, and that kind of that's where the realm kind of went after Azarian rather than like it couldn't contain Silk because she became a goddess.
Hmm. And all the history lessons.
Yeah, I took a lot and had a lot of the players help me make sure I had a lot of the timeline down. So that's what I'm kind of plowing through right now, trying to remember where a lot of that is. Date wise. Okay, well, I don't want to go too far here. Okay, so Um, I'll basically say the dark elf that you know his name is Zin. Um, he is a he was a sort of a Ronin war master. Um, he's had a lot of near death experiences in the history, and then basically the first house has him because he was one of the people who had the stone, and because of his Ronin ability, they had to actually fight him, but they defeated him but didn't kill him. Um, the heroes of Spero. Well, actually, you should call them more like now the Titans of Spero. I think the Raven Queen would now also tell you she she's been enchanting your blade. You know that she has a holy avenger in her champion in Zindred. But she will tell you that Alanis has always had a blade of silk called the Silk Blade before she fully became a goddess. So she knows it is one of the more powerful blades on the land. And she thinks it could be more powerful now than it was centuries old.
And where would this blade potentially be?
It was used, it was a thing of evil back then. So when it was finally freed of its corruption, hiding it was probably what the people of the land did. What the Raven Queen will tell you in your mind as you're hearing this is, she has a sense of magic, is whoever has the Silk Blade pretty much would have the same type of communication that she has with you.
Interesting. So a direct line of
Another goddess, yes.
conversation with Silk herself.
Correct.
I feel like I should get my hands on this blade.
And possibly, I guess a lead would be probably the two daughters.
But they existed in the other realm, not this one.
Like I said, though, there's a potential they could have returned. Nobody would, if they're being quiet about it, no one would even know to look for them. But there could be, it depends on what they're doing. A lot of it would, I guess, would be trying to ascertain maybe divinely or arcanely what they're doing, or really maybe pushing the land, pushing the gods to make an intervention happen.
I mean, if they're powerful mages, have been around for quite some time, they're daughters of Silk. If they came to this land, the best way to hide would be in plain sight. So there might be a good chance that they could be at the top of the mage.
Now, you have a feeling that they would not be circle, like they would not. They're not the type that would work well with circle roses.
Okay.
Having never really been them themselves, and the history text will tell you they've never been themselves. Their beings were before the Circle of Roses societies were built before them. Like Kiziata was a hellish war mage. She was devastation in an incarnation alone. Mystic is a lot like her mother. She's very Twilight, very sly, the strategist, so to speak. The Sapphire might like her a lot if you really kind of think about it. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I mean, that level of mages, older mages, they could have created the Circle of Roses and then been like, you know what? We created it. It's not for us. We'll move on.
Correct.
And like the Red Roses sound like Kiziata.
Yeah, they did. They stuck with that part of it. But I did want to give you some things that's because you have talked about talking to Azarian. So you have some two packs that that I pulled out of his history that could end up being part of conversation. So that's what basically your elven friends here, dark elf drow friends, think might be important because they happened.
Hmm.
So
So
one kind of bad, one also kind of good. So that's kind of where that is.
signs a Treaty of Allegiance. Exchange for all military forces of the drow. Are given Ashen City. And then cities of Misa. Keep all pledge loyalty to Kelson Birthheart. It's called the Hope Pact. It's made in defense against King Azarian. But Fang's Keep, no, not Fang's Keep didn't fall, right?
No, these are just packs. Like they're the groups that opposed, you know, the opposition of the other. Oh, this might be something important. I guess I'll put all this in there for you. So this is the thing that got talked about a lot, I think, between with Matt to you guys, but he gets upset because people forget about her.
Princess Alexandria DePaul.
Yes.
That's his wife.
End up marrying her. Yes. She is from Cala de Lune, so the big city to the east. That's where Azarian made the ploy to make sure that he is ruled from the time when he starts making his part in there. Uh, all right. Give me a history roll advantage. What did you get? I'm looking at paper. Oops. Man, you're not rolling great.
Roll great sometimes. Other times, not so much.
Yeah, I put you solo, and you're like, yeah. Okay, then I'll.
Rolled a 1 and a 6.
Yeah. Saying, that's what I'm saying. Regard of the North people was the last person to wield the silk blade.
Regard of the
Azarian is the one that defeated him, and the best it says after that is lost. So I'm going to say your historians here believe that that it must be somewhere in the north. And this girl here, this female drow, is your historian, more or less. So she's the one that's been kind of helping you paint this together.
Nova Waldriak.
Yeah. So you spent a lot of time here. You've worked your situation. You now know. You now have your people. So you know what you'll be able to kind of like figure out, I guess, when you kind of return to the surface. You can have a lot of things to think about.
Yep. And I don't have Matt's character to talk more about. So
No, but again, these are now, if you get to the right people, you might be able to do some of your own jumping around with some alacrity. So once something's gonna finish itself out, but yeah. All right, my friend. Good session.
yep, good history lessons.
You are now a man of deep knowledge, and Yajiro make quite the difference, I think.
Yeah, he's gonna have to be a bit more of a leader.
Okay, I will talk to you next time. Good night.
Indeed. Have a good night, Ben. Adios.